Hello, you Mayhem Makers. I'm Mindy with Quilting Mayhem, and welcome back to another Kona block of the month tutorial. Today we're working on month 8, which is super easy. So it's going to look like this. I apparently have my sample block at the shop, but that's okay because we're going to make another one. And this one, oh my gosh, it's so simple. Half square triangles. We've been doing this. If you've been following me, we have been doing half square triangles, I think every month. Every month has them. So it's pretty cut and dry. We're going to take 2 fabrics, have a diagonal line on the back side of one of the fabrics, preferably the lighter one, and then stitch that 1/4 inch either side of the line. You cut them apart and you press them. And then we're going to put them together. I mean, I love this month. It makes it great in the summer to try to catch up. So remember, if you're pressing, you can either press open like I do, or you can press to one direction. If you are and you're using light background, I always recommend you're gonna press to the dark side. I have so much fun just saying, press to the dark side. It's my little inner Star Wars nerd coming out. I will show you how to trim it just in case you're new or the first time you're watching any of the tutorials. I'll just switch the camera around and I will demonstrate how to trim up these half square triangles. You owe it to yourself. Make sure you're trimming your blocks so that your final block is nice, even, comes out the right size, doesn't have any warp, all those kinds of things. So do not skip this step. I know a lot of people don't like trimming. I was trained very early in my quilty life how important trimming was, and I am thankful for that because most of my blocks are generally spot on because I do have that just ingrained in me to do it every time. So do not cheat yourself, don't cheat your quilt, do the trimming. All right, so here we go. So here we have our block. We're going to use our Creative Grid 4.5 inch square. I love these rulers because they have the half on one side and the whole numbers on the other. They're well marked. They have this grippy texture all over on the bottom, and they've got this 1/4 inch marking on 2 sides. So if you're trying to cut your squares apart and you need that 1/4 inch gap, that's what you have. So first of all, we're going to deal in 4.5, which is this entire square. So that's what kind of makes it easy. Now I'm lining up the diagonal and the diagonal seam of your block, making sure you have those little bit extras. Hopefully you're following my cutting instructions so that you do have a little bit extra to trim. The way they have you doing the blocks drives me crazy because it's on the bias, all that kind of stuff. And they don't really give you room for error, which I always like that room for error. So we're going to trim 2 sides, turn it around. If you have a rotating mat, it makes your life easier because you would just rotate the whole mat and not have to do all this readjusting. And I'm just lining it up. And these are the downfalls of trying to do videos in my home. I have dogs. And children. So we'll do this again in case some of that did not come through. All right, so lining up that diagonal, making sure you have extras all the way around. Take your cutter, trim 2 sides, flip it around, line up your clean edges on the bottom of your ruler here. Make sure you're in the camera. There we go. So clean edges on the bottom 2 sides, diagonal still on the diagonal. Trim. Alrighty. So they're nice and clean. You're going to have a whole stack of them of varying colors. So you're just going to follow the instructions on which fabrics to match up, and then we're going to lay it out. All right, so make sure you lay everything out because you want to make sure that you get all your colors going the right way. And I don't have a huge space right here, but you're going to get the gist of everything that's going on because you want to make sure you have these outer parts looking like flying geese, and they're making your star points, and then this inside is kind of making this greenish square with yellow on the outside. All right, and then we're going to sew across in rows and then put our rows together. So I'm going to show you how that goes. All right, so we have our 4 rows. Now if these fabrics do not match, you have something laid out wrong. All right, so just a key, and you can choose not to care if it's not matching up and just leave it. It would be more scrappy. I don't know that it would make a difference in this block, but just kind of one of those keys is these do kind of match up. Now we're going to take our rows, match them together, and we're going to pin them matching the joins. Now, as you can see, mine are pressed open, so I just match that join and pin it. All right, so there's 3 of them. We're just going to match up. Remember, we're doing just 1/4 inch seam allowances with everything, or scant quarter if you're concerned about it coming out correctly, which means it's just a little bit less than a 1/4 inch. If you're new, I do recommend pinning the end and the beginning, because it is important that these line up so that you get a nice straight line on the outside edges of your block. So row 1 and 2 are going together, and then row 3 and 4 will go together. Because I try to sew as much as possible in between my pressing. To me, it's a little more efficient. So if I do both of these, then I have just the one seam in the middle to do left to put the whole block together. All right. So I'm going to take this to the machine and be right back. All right, we're almost there. So rows 1 and 2 are now together, 3 and 4 together. So we're just going to match these 2. And we just keep laying it out so we make sure everything goes together the way it should. And then once again, we're just pinning these matching seams so everything comes out nice and square, and that your points come together where you want them to. I will remind you, if your points aren't dead on, like if they're just a hair off, my advice is to learn to let that go. That is one of the biggest things I have to talk to people is they stress, they pull out that seam again and again and again until the fabric's starting to ravel just because it's a skosh off. Like once this is quilted and, you know, in somebody's hands on a wall, are you going to notice if this join is just a smidge off? Is anybody else going to notice? You might notice, but nobody else is going to know. So learn to let it go, because we just want to get these projects done and we want to have fun doing it. All right. So final seam, here we go. All right, guys, here we go. The reveal. Ta-da! I love this block. This is especially summertime. This is like citrus, happiness, you know, and you could do an entire quilt out of this block. You just cut up even like a charm pack, turn it into a bunch of half square triangles, and make it into these fun stars. I mean, you do this with a lot of stuff. This is a lot of fun. And definitely because these turn down to be, you know, 4.5 inch squares, it could be a charm pack quilt easily. So I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, if you have any problems, please reach out. I don't want you struggling. So you can email info@Quilting Mayhem. You can call the store. If you're local, come see the store. But if you're not local, please, you know, reach out. You can reach out through, you know, Facebook, Instagram, all those kinds of things. If you're looking for more of the tutorials, they are all on our YouTube channel, just under Quilting Mayhem. And we do have TikTok. So if you do TikTok, we do have some videos out there also. So I feel like we're everywhere, but we're trying to be here for you, give you all the fun quilt and sewing education that we can, and we are just loving this block of the month, and I'm excited because I'm going to do next year's also. So if you're looking forward to 2025, make sure you're on our email newsletter, because we will post more information about that soon, because we'll have our monthly subscription plus an option just to buy the whole thing kind of up front, and so you can go at your own pace if maybe you're a little more experienced, all that kind of stuff. So all good things coming soon. I hope you are having a lovely day and keep on stitching.